The importance of latissimus dorsi when we're talking about core training is something that gets brushed over or sometimes missed. And what we have to do is make sure that we're taking into consideration as many muscles as we can when we're talking about the core, because as you've maybe heard me say before, it's very important that we use multiple muscles whilst training the core, because in some respects that's how it's designed. So what we're going to do today is talk about latissimus dorsi and core training. And if you want to build your core strength and stability, then please do just click the link below in the description and you'll go through to how to build core strength and stability 12-week online program. On there, I will take you through and guide you through 12 weeks of core training. And then once you get to the end of that 12 weeks, which is the beginner program, you can then open up and go into the intermediate and advanced workouts, which will take your core strength and stability to the next level. So if you want to do that, click the link below. First of all, let's look at the anatomy, and again we'll be able to sort of gain some understanding of why it's so important for core training. So what we've got is we've got the origin, which in simple terms I call the start of the muscle, which is down on the spinous processes of vertebra T7 to L5. You've then got the thoracolumbar fascia, iliac crest, inferior 3 or 4 ribs, and inferior angle of the scapula. So it's quite a large start to the muscle, but we're basically talking about this area here. So we've got the thoracolumbar fascia in here, so you can see that it starts all the way along there. You've got the iliac crest, you've got all the vertebra, and you've got the inferior angle of the scapula. So it's a large start to the muscle, but it's a large muscle and it covers a large area. When we talk about the function, we'll get more into that. Then the insertion, which is where I would describe the end of the muscle. So this is on the humerus, which is basically the bone of the upper arm. So it's sort of up in this area. So as you can see on the image here, you've got the red muscle, which is the latissimus dorsi, sort of goes up into the armpit, which is essentially where the muscle ends. So it starts all the way down here, and then it ends all the way around here. And then you get some fascia crosses the midline and completes the loop of the abdomen. So if we were to take the bird's eye view, which I have shown in the past, images of this, and you've got all the sort of the obliques here, you've got the abdominal, the rectus abdominis here, and then you've got the sort of TVA that goes all the way around. Then you've got QL in here, and you've got all these different muscles, but also you've got the latissimus dorsi, the most superficial muscle, which will sit on sort of the outside of these rings as well, again bringing together with the TVA, obviously the spine being just here, sort of bringing together that loop and making it one unit. Now we've got the function of the muscle. Now we kind of understand where the muscle is, what it's joining to. We can start to then piece together its function. Now, in most exercise settings, the latissimus dorsi will be so we'll do some sort of pull down. So the humerus, the muscle of the arm, will be up here. Then you'll have the elbow. So you've got the arm and the elbow. And then basically what happens is we pull the weight down, so our elbows come down to our side. That's the normal way that we understand the latissimus dorsi works. So we come into this position and then we pull the arm down. Now, that's obviously that dynamic movement and that function of the latissimus dorsi. That's absolutely true. I'm not saying it's not. But what I am saying is that there's a different role for the lats as well. And it's all about balance stiffening of the entire musculature. So as I mentioned before, it's talking about sort of bringing this together and enhancing how the core works and how the core can work. So we've got abdominals, erector spinae group. Obviously you've got erector spinae group coming up through here. You've got the abdominals around the front, like the image that I drew on before with the bird's eye view looking down on the core. But it's all about getting that balance stiffening between front, sides and back. So we've got rectus abdominals, you've got obliques here, you've got erector spinae group on the outside, you've got TVA in the middle, you've got QL sort of towards the spine, obviously on either side. So you've got all these different muscles, and then you'd have lats on the outside, sort of again, holding all of this together, because what it is able to do and why it is such a great core muscle, which is one thing I didn't really mention, or more specifically in the last slide, is the fact that it crosses what is effectively the entire core. So it goes from the top corner all the way down here. Again, from the top corner all the way down here. So it's a great stabilizing muscle of the entire core. It helps force transmission. So force transmission from the shoulders up here and from the hips down here. So when we are exploding, if we can basically, what is effectively lock down the whole of this spine by contracting this muscle, and the way that we would do that, I should say, is by pressing the shoulders down into the rib cage, because when you shrug up like that, that's the trapezius lifting the muscle, and the latissimus dorsi is lengthening. When we then press them down, what you should be able to feel are the muscles at the side of the torso contracting, which are the lats contracting. So what you're effectively doing is you're compressing sort of bottom to top, and again stabilizing the spine. And then again, what we're also doing, which is again why it's another such effective exercise, is it adds tensions to the thoracolumbar fascia to create more stability for the spine. Because I've already talked about creating that compression as we push the shoulders down to hold the spine in place. That's going to create some degree of stability. We've got all the other muscles working, which is creating some degree of stability. Then we've got the thoracolumbar fascia. So the thoracolumbar fascia is this part here, this sort of, let's just say, diamond shape. Now, the fascia goes all the way around and all the way from sort of superficial to deep. But when we're talking about the thoracolumbar fascia, which is just one part of all of that, it's this area here. And what it's effectively doing when we contract that, again, it's sort of pulling it tight. So it's pulling each of these corners nice and tight. So what we're then able to do is, again, create more stability through this area, mainly for the sacrum and for the lumbar spine, to be able then to, again, hold still, which is what we want. And then that is going to be able to allow the glutes, which are here, excuse my pen, the glutes which are here, which are then able to do their job, which is generate the force of lifting a weight from the floor, for example. So what we have to be able to do is bring all of this together in what is effectively exercise. And what we're going to do next is show you some exercises which can do that. So when we're talking about bringing the core together and using the latissimus dorsi, obviously I've talked about pull downs and pull ups. It is working there. You will engage the lats there. But it's being focused as more of a moving muscle rather than a core stabilizing muscle. So when we're talking about, from a most functional perspective, it's carrying and lifting, and then sort of bending and lifting that comes with that. So that, from a most functional perspective, is where we would use the lats. So we've got carries, we've got deadlifts. From a development perspective of the core, obviously you've got carries and you've got lifts, but we've also got slightly more simple exercises of bird dog and side plank. Now, it's important that we need to get these exercises right, and we need to perform them correctly to get the muscles activating at the right time and doing the right thing. So with regards to that, we've got bracing. So we need to brace the abdominals, the obliques, to again just set the abdominals in place. So that would be through here and through here. Then when we start getting the shoulders involved, it's shoulders back and down. So here, if we were doing it here, if I was turned around, I've got my shoulder blades on either side, I would be pinching them just gently together. It doesn't have to be a sort of a full pinch, full retraction of the shoulders, but just a gentle pinch. That just gets the rhomboids involved. But then the main one is pushing the shoulders down. Same here, pushing the shoulders down. So what we're doing is we're contracting the lats going down through here. Another easy way of doing it when we're lifting from the floor is to have the arms at this sort of angle, because again, that sort of pulling down of the arms is going to activate the lats. If the arms are hanging here, the lats aren't going to be as engaged as they could be. So what we need to do is push the shoulders back and down. If you are lifting a bar from the floor, then you've got external rotation and bending of the bar. So that's if you're lifting and carrying. We need to be able to do all of those. When it comes to these types of exercises, what do we need to do? Well, with here, what we would do is we would rotate this arm like that. And then what would basically happen is I would clench my fist, and the result would be my thumb would stick up in the air. So it would be sort of like that. So I would be arm over the head, but the thumb is pointing up. That then externally rotates. I would then push my shoulder down into the rib cage, so my lats are engaged and my shoulder is stabilised. Then we've got the external rotation, which is what I've talked about. And then finally, again, if it is a bar, it's bending the bar. So if you can imagine bird's eye view of an Olympic bar, you've got the weights either side. What you're effectively trying to do, obviously it's never going to happen, but you're pressing the outside of your hands into the bar. So effectively what you're trying to do, as the teaching point describes, which is bend the bar. Obviously you're not going to bend the bar, but the idea is to as if you're going to do that. So these are just some exercises that you can do to be able to get engaged. Obviously with the side plank, again, it would be pushing the shoulder sort of down into the rib cage. So you get, along with the obliques, along with the rectus abdominis, you get the lats engaged. So that's able to engage the lats, which then basically brings the whole core together. So you can heavy lift, you can sort of forcefully swing a kettlebell, whatever it needs to be. So these are just some starting points for people to start engaging the lats, be conscious of it, and then you can start moving on to more complex exercises.